I want to show you how I illustrated this cover for a Montreal local band. Let's get started. So I am a metal girly, and I actually met one of the members of this band at a Bleeding concert. We kind of kept track of each other's career progress. I watched him grow in his musical career, and he watched me grow in my illustration career. I was really stoked when he approached me with this project, so he proceeded to send me the song and gave me total creative freedom. They did explain to me that this song was in fact a breakup song, and their only request was to not feature a couple. Basically to not just draw two individuals, to kind of think outside the box. So the first thing I did was draft up a mind map. I started with the main word, breakup, and I just kind of let my ideas flow. I tried to think of symbolic elements that would represent the aftermath of a breakup rather than focusing on the people themselves. I then proceeded to go on Pinterest and create a mood board so that I could have a visual representation of those elements and some solid references for the thumbnails that I was about to do next. Once I was finished with the thumbnails, I proceeded to show it to the band to see which one resonated with them the most, as it was their song and I wanted to get their essence across. Once they picked the thumbnail, I switched from traditional to a digital medium. I always like to start my drawings on paper. It just feels sort of more authentic to me because I grew up drafting on paper. So for me, it just comes natural. But I did want to clean up the final version using Procreate and Photoshop, as it's something I've been studying over the past few years, and wanted to take this opportunity to kind of explore the various techniques that I have been drawn to and see kind of what would stick with me, as well as I feel like I am always rediscovering and reinventing my personal style. I must say that the thumbnail that they chose had a very technical foundation. I was never really the best at technical illustration, so it did push me a little bit outside of my comfort zone. Instead of taking the easy way out and using 3D as a base for this project, I decided to struggle and work on my perspective drawing skills with the sole help of Procreate guidelines. I feel like that way it also emphasizes the pain that I went through while creating this piece, as well as the pain that you might be experiencing during a breakup. See what I did there? Once I was satisfied with how the perspective looked, I sent in another draft of the whole composition just to make sure that we're all on the same page before moving into the next phase, which is the linear, which is where I basically just clean up the whole thing and make all the lines look intentional. Once they approved my second draft and I got the line art looking the way I had envisioned, I asked them if they had envisioned this drawing in black and white or if they wanted color. It turns out they did want some colors, so I needed some inspiration. I hopped onto Instagram and I looked up this account that I follow that basically takes scenes out of various movies and creates a color palette from it. I tried to look for the movies that gave off sad vibes. I definitely knew that the color associated with sadness was blue, but I didn't just want to have a whole piece in monochromatic blue. I wanted to play around with a variety of muted tones, and I did opt for a complementary harmony, so that would be blue and orange, but of course I didn't just take blue and orange as you would imagine. I tried to play around with the tones, the saturation, the values of each color in order to achieve a gloomy sort of overall vibe. Once I was happy with all of that, I moved it from Procreate into Photoshop because Procreate doesn't really have the capacity to withhold the amount of layers that I will normally put into a project. Switched to Photoshop where I could just kind of test out some textures, play around with Easter eggs like having the band name show up in various formats like on the cigarette packets and on the whiskey bottle. And those are all the steps I took to create this sad, gloomy illustration that represents a breakup for the song Kind by the band Sum and Substance, a jazz fusion prog band from Montreal. If you're into bands like Pliny and Chon, I think you'll really enjoy this song. And follow them on social media to keep up with their live shows, events, and other songs that I will be making art for.